Imagine being a passionate advocate for race and reparations only to discover a shocking truth about your own family's past. Sunny Hostin, renowned for her bold views on identity politics, was blindsided by a jaw-dropping revelation on PBS's Finding Your Roots. Her ancestors weren't just immigrants, they were slave owners. The irony? Greg Gutfeld wasted no time tearing apart her hypocrisy in a hilariously brutal takedown. From comparing her to a vegan owning a barbecue joint to exposing her refusal to acknowledge this bombshell, Greg left no stone unturned. Buckle up, this story is a wild ride of ironic twists, identity politics, and poetic justice that you have to see to believe. What happens when a public figure who frequently champions issues like race and reparations uncovers a startling truth about their own heritage? That's exactly what happened to Sunny Hostin, co-host of The View. Known for her outspoken views on identity politics, Sunny's narrative was unexpectedly flipped on its head during her appearance on PBS's Finding Your Roots. The show, which explores the ancestry of its guests, revealed a family history Sunny likely hadn't anticipated. While many might assume someone so vocal about race would be well-versed in their own lineage, the results told a different story. Sunny learned her ancestors were not merely immigrants or disadvantaged workers, but shockingly slave owners. The revelation left Sunny visibly stunned. She confessed she'd always considered herself Puerto Rican and never imagined her family's history would trace back to Spain, let alone include connections to slavery. The moment was thick with irony and tension as it contrasted sharply with her public advocacy for racial justice and reparations. The revelation quickly sparked online reactions, but the story didn't stop there. Greg Gutfeld, known for his razor-sharp wit, wasted no time capitalizing on the irony with a brutal comedic takedown of Sunny's stance on identity politics. Sunny Hostin's journey to uncover her family's past was meant to be an exploration of roots, identity, and heritage. But instead of affirming her convictions, it unraveled them in a way no one could have predicted. For years, Sunny has positioned herself as a voice of moral authority on matters of race and inequality, often advocating passionately for reparations. This revelation, however, placed her in an awkward and deeply ironic spotlight. During her appearance on PBS's Finding Your Roots, Sunny was eager to delve into her ancestry, likely anticipating a narrative that aligned with her advocacy. However, the unexpected discovery that her ancestors were slave owners turned what could have been a celebratory moment into one of discomfort and shock. Sunny's reaction, a mix of disbelief and unease, was palpable as she processed the information. Her comment, "I always thought of myself as Puerto Rican. I didn't think my family was originally from Spain or slaveholders," was an attempt to reconcile her identity with this newfound truth. What makes this story so captivating isn't just the shocking revelation, but the rich layers of irony it reveals. Sunny's consistent focus on systemic racism and reparations clashed with her personal family history, raising questions about the complexities of identity and accountability. Adding fuel to the fire, Greg Gutfeld's response on his show was nothing short of a spectacle. He didn't just call out the irony, he dissected it with razor-sharp humor. Drawing comparisons and highlighting Sunny's apparent hypocrisy, Greg turned the revelation into a broader commentary on identity politics. His critique struck a chord with audiences, blending comedy with pointed observations that underscored the pitfalls of reducing conversations about race to oversimplified narratives. Sunny's story is a powerful reminder of how ancestry can reveal unexpected truths, challenging even the most deeply held beliefs. It also speaks to the broader dangers of identity politics, where the focus on collective identities can overshadow individual responsibility and the nuanced complexities of history. As the stunning revelation sank in, the atmosphere grew tense. Sunny Hostin, caught off guard by her own family history, awkwardly attempted to salvage the moment. She muttered that the discovery would at least be interesting for her children to know. However, it was clear the damage was already done. This wasn't just an uncomfortable truth, it was a direct contradiction to the principles she often champions. It's rare to see someone so vocal about racial inequality and reparations confront evidence that their own lineage played a role in the very system they denounce, and Greg Gutfeld didn't waste a second addressing the glaring irony. On his show, he began with a biting one-liner that captured the absurdity of the situation. Sunny Hostin, slave-owning ancestors. That's like finding out a vegan secretly owns a barbecue joint. The audience roared with laughter as Greg dove deeper into Sunny's apparent hypocrisy. He highlighted her well-known habit of invoking race in nearly every discussion, particularly when it comes to reparations. Now, Greg joked Sunny might need to consider writing those reparations checks herself. Greg's critique didn't stop at humor. He took aim at Sunny's reaction or lack thereof. Instead of owning up to the irony or even reflecting on the discovery, she brushed it off as an inconvenient fact of life. Greg emphasized how different the narrative would be if someone else were in her position. One of his co-hosts quipped, "If you're going to spend your entire career shaming others for their history, maybe take a moment to acknowledge your own." Sunny's attempt to recover from the startling revelation only deepened the irony of the situation. Her comment about it being interesting for her kids rang hollow against the weight of the moment. The fact that she didn't offer any substantial reflection or accountability turned the revelation into a viral talking point. For someone who has spent years passionately addressing racial injustice and advocating reparations, learning that her ancestors were slave owners wasn't just a personal revelation, it was a public reckoning. Sunny's unwillingness to fully engage with this newfound truth left her open to criticism, and Greg Gutfeld was more than ready to deliver it. On his show, Greg used his trademark wit to spotlight the absurdity. Comparing Sunny's situation to a vegan owning a barbecue joint wasn't just a joke, it was a way of pointing out the deep contradictions between her public persona and her personal history. His critique, however, wasn't just about irony, it was about accountability or the lack thereof. Sunny's tendency to frame discussions through the lens of race often puts others on the defensive. But this time the tables had turned. Greg mocked the idea of Sunny pulling the race card on The View in the future, suggesting that someone would undoubtedly remind her of her slave-owning ancestry. His sharp commentary resonated because it exposed the fragility of identity politics when confronted with inconvenient truths. Adding to the critique, Greg's panel underscored the broader implications of Sunny's response. By shrugging off the discovery instead of addressing it meaningfully, Sunny missed an opportunity to practice what she preaches. One co-host remarked, "If you're going to shame others for their history, maybe take a moment to acknowledge your own." Another joked about Sunny's newfound position, hinting at how it might color her interactions on The View moving forward. Greg didn't stop at Sunny's personal reckoning. He expanded the conversation into a broader critique of identity politics, arguing that it's the inevitable result of focusing solely on race while ignoring context, nuance, and individual accountability. When identity becomes the primary lens for viewing history, it often leads to moments of hypocrisy like this one. The public reaction was swift and unrelenting. Social media users criticized Sunny for failing to acknowledge her family's history in a way that aligned with her outspoken views. Memes and comments poured in, framing the revelation as poetic justice. The story was no longer just about Sunny, it had become a cautionary tale about the pitfalls of identity-based rhetoric. The situation surrounding Sunny Hostin didn't stop at the uncomfortable revelation about her ancestors. Greg Gutfeld continued to bring the heat, highlighting how her public persona had been built around identity politics, focusing so heavily on race that it overshadowed the complexities of personal history and individual actions. Greg took this opportunity to address the broader issue of identity politics itself. He pointed out that when people are obsessed with race, they often forget the bigger picture individual responsibility and the importance of context. In this case, Sunny's focus on race and inequality seemed to backfire as her own family history didn't align with her vocal advocacy. Greg pivoted to an important point: personal responsibility. He emphasized that while ancestry and skin color are parts of who we are, they don't define what we can do today. It's about how we act now, how we hold ourselves accountable for our actions, not just what happened in the past. This was a pointed critique of Sunny's tendency to lecture others while failing to address her own history with the same scrutiny. Naturally, social media exploded in reaction to the story. Many people saw Sunny's shock as a form of poetic justice, criticizing her lack of accountability. Some even joked about her position, like one meme that humorously said, "Let me write that reparations check to myself real quick," showing how ironic the situation had become. The revelation quickly became a viral sensation, not just about Sunny, but also a larger commentary on identity politics. Greg capped off his segment with a memorable mic drop moment, emphasizing that the real issue wasn't just about Sunny, it was about the inherent dangers of identity politics itself. He argued that when you make racism the central focus of everything, you run the risk of being blindsided by it in your own life. In Sunny's case, her family history of slave ownership was the ultimate irony, a harsh reminder that we all have to reflect on our own actions and histories rather than constantly pointing fingers at others. So what do you think? Is this the ultimate case of karma coming back around to bite Sunny Hostin? Or should we cut her some slack considering she didn't know about her family's past? Do you believe it's important for public figures to reflect on their own history before passing judgment on others? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and share your opinion. Do you think this revelation will change the way Sunny engages in conversations about race, or will it be forgotten over time? Let's talk about it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update.